How you guys doing today? So check this out. Just want to say real quick, I don't really have a word for you, but I got some words for you. You feel me? Okay. So I believe that we are all devices of God. So what I'm saying is that God is able to use us in any way, any shape, any form that He provides, that He wills for us. Um, we are we are the instruments that God has placed on the earth. Okay, and we need to recognize that, and I hope you do. So when we doing our thing, just know that we playing the tunes. Okay, and yeah, so be that tune, be in tune with God, be that device. Allow God to manifest in your life. Allow God to heal your life. Allow God to prosper in your life. Allow God to resonate within you. Allow that to propel you forward. Allow that to make your hustle work harder. Allow that to take you from one level to the next. Allow that to take you from out of the gutter into to the next stage in your life. Allow that to make you recover. Okay, so that's really what I had to say. It's just that we need to sometimes just recognize that we always want to feel that we always have control over everything, and we don't. And sometimes we just let go and let God. And when that happens, I believe that we gain more patience and we recognize that there is time and not everything is all always so instantaneous, and we have this expectation as if it should be. Um, but that's really I think I want to get across. And the reason why I say device and instrument is because uh just look at our phones, the way we most of us, majority of us, okay, we value it, we hold it pretty much dearly to ourselves. We don't really go anywhere without it. It's one of the most common use. It's right next to food. It's kind of crazy. Like, it's just right next to food because you literally just constantly using it. It's like it's so intertwined with who we are today. And so, I say that we need to allow God to let go and allow God. We need to accept things the way they are. And sometimes we tend to reject things that God's trying to give us. We tend to sometimes reject, or we try to control every situation. I'm not gonna lie to you, like, I'm one of those people who will try to control every situation, and sometimes I need to remind myself, like, hey, listen, you just can't. It's impossible. I don't know where I get this idea from. Maybe it's because we got the device and we feel like we can control everything that's on our device. And that's not even the truth. Our device is constantly running all the time and it's doing its own thing as well. Because if you go online, then you see that everything's happening at once and then you get all these notifications. So it's going crazy, right? So it's constantly actually moving, but it's also moving with you. And what I'm saying is you got to be a device because we tend to move because we got free will as well. But at the same time, you just gotta let things grow, develop, and I think marinate itself a little bit, and see what happens. I think that sometimes we like to jump into situations. Sometimes we probably even we tend to jump too early in the situation, not recognizing the full scope of it. I could give you an example of me jumping into the market and not knowing how the market actually fluctuates. Got to learn the patterns, but this is all trials and tribulations. But it's possible that if I would have took my time to develop more of the instruments, the actual tunes of the platform, I would have probably had a better opportunity. Whereas me just jumping had some steps ahead. So it's And I think we need to recognize that, and I think we do that with relationships as well, because we know sometimes we tend to enter the relationship with people, right, where the temperature or the trend is a high, not knowing when the trend is about to go down, right? So and it's just like the market, you know. So we have this uptrend, then we have this downtrend, and then we have this sideways trend, you know, and it's people operate the same way. There's times where we are on the uptrend. There's times where we're on the side trends. And there's times when on the downtrends, and we don't recognize that everyone has different trends on when their trend is happening, you know, and when that's happening. So sometimes you could be on the up and this person could be on the down, and then you think you're trying to match them and then change your direction. You're trying to pivot into their situation, and sometimes it throws us off instead of saying let God be and God do and let the situation develop and see what happens, you know. So it's definitely you know, one of the things that you want to let you guys know. Just remind yourself that we are we are here to not only fulfill our needs but also fulfill the needs of God. So it's good to constantly remind yourself, just like how you take a shower. It's good to constantly take a shower, stay clean, refresh yourself, right? So it's constantly just remind yourself that you're not just here to fulfill your needs, you're also here to fulfill God's needs as well. And we tend to think that it's always supposed to be our needs, and that's not the case. So just constantly, again, just remind yourself that we are the devices of God and we are the instruments. And so we got to play the tunes even though we have free will, you know. The tunes go. We make it go. And I thought of something today as well, like something I think it's weird, but I thought of something today as well. I was like check this out, check this out, check this out. So I'm drinking tea, right? And while I'm drinking tea, I usually just let the sugar sit at the bottom. So I don't stir it up, right? So usually you stir up your sugar and you get the whole thing kind of like got a little more like flavor with it, right? A little sweeter with it, okay? But I could drink my tea to the bottom, then get all the sugar at the bottom, okay? That's how I like it most of the time. I switch it up here and there, but I let let the either the honey or the brown sugar sink to the bottom. I drink my tea, and by the time I get to the bottom, it gives you that concentrated sweetness, right? Okay, that just sometimes how I like my tea. So it's like plain and then concentrated. Okay, so I thought about that. I'm like, how does that relate into the world a little bit? And I said to myself, yo, that's like digging for diamonds, right? At the top, it's not. It's kind of plain. It's kind of plain. But just the more the more in depth you get, the deeper you go, the sweeter it gets. You feel me? So, and then after a while, what you do is you mix it up, and it's sweet all over, right? So it was just an interesting thought I had, and I just wanted to let you guys know. So enjoy your day. Have a blessed day, and remind yourself that be a device to God. Be the device of God. Be be engaged. Be in tune with your spirituality. Be in tune with what you're doing. Recognize God in every situation. Recognize that sometimes you just can't control it, and sometimes you just gotta let God be, and let the situation develop. Do what you can. I'm not saying don't do what you can't do. I'm not saying do what you can do. What I'm telling you is sometimes we tend to go beyond before we know the scope, right? So we tend to go ahead of ourselves before we have more depth of the situation, you know. And it happens with all of us. Again, it constantly happens day to day, and we just got to keep refreshing ourselves. Like, did I go beyond instead of let the situation develop? Did I not go in depth enough with the information to know what's actually happening? Because those time frames, I'm just call it the God frames, because in God frames I feel that God is always trying to construct and work with what is our free will. So you know, I'm gonna just call it the God frame, and the patience of whatever we're doing, and the patience of letting things develop, and the patience of learning, and the patience of building, and the patience of trust, love, and the patience of any manifestation that you are looking forward to, and the patience of your character, and the patience of your personality, and the patience, So it's very interesting, and the patience of healing, and the patience of recovering, overcoming, and getting rid of stress, and the patience of getting rid of depression, and the patience of no longer dwelling on the past. Like in these, I call it the God frame. I think the God frame is the patience, because we have free will to kind of maneuver around, but it's the God frame that's saying let it develop a little bit more before we just uh, go so off scale, and we could actually learn the situation, and we could actually develop within that. And I thank you guys for taking time to listen. God bless you. Amen.